So good morning. We're here with Althea, and she's going to talk about how to use some educational technology to do a gallery walk. And take it away, Althea.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Althea Hudson, Tech Integrator for CCPS. My two schools are Swift Creek Middle, woo woo, and Rovius. Go Raiders. So thank you for having me, and thank you for watching. If you are joining me, I'm going to be talking about doing the digital gallery walk, which is just taking the old-fashioned gallery walk where you put up the big posters in like the four corners of your classroom, and you write a thought-provoking question at the top, and your students are put into groups, and they walk around and they add their sticky note of further thought, or they write in a certain color and share their thoughts. I'm going to show you how to digitize that today and use it in your classroom. And I'm also going to show you kind of how to take that to the next level and move it up that SAMR scale. And then I'm also going to show you a couple other things that you could possibly do with the template. So before we get started, I have a link that I'm going to share with you. It's a bit.ly link. And if you would just open up a tab and type this link right here. It's bit.ly/DLD_gallery walk, and it is case sensitive. So do make sure you're using all lowercase letters, please. And while you're pulling that up for the resources today, if you happen to be on Twitter, I'd love for you to follow me. My handle is @AltheaThusWeKnow, which is my middle name. And yes, it's Greek. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad, for that. Also, you should give Official Digital Learning Day a follow, and of course, CCPS EdTech Twitter handle, so you can get tips and tricks and see what everybody else is doing in the county. That'd be awesome. But today, we are going to talk about the digital gallery walk. Just as a quick refresher, it does help your students develop their critical thinking and communication skills. So it does touch on a couple of those C's in the 4 C's. It does teach your students flexibility and gives them the comfort of sharing things in smaller, more supportive settings. And of course, with everything being online nowadays, students struggle with social interaction. So it does help them with that. It hones their listening skills, and it encourages, of course, the collaboration and development of their presentation skills. And later in this presentation, I'll show you how to kind of move up that SAMR scale. If you have already pulled up my digital sandbox, which, by the way, is also a link on the EdTech Hub and the resources for my session, you will see a couple of things. Right here are the directions for setting up your digital gallery walk. So if I'm going too fast, or if you can't pause this live and you don't have time to go back and watch it again, right here are directions for you to set it up. Right here is the teacher prepping section, and it walks you straight through, provides links for you to set up your digital paper chat, shows you how to hyperlink and what you need to hyperlink, and how to go ahead and set up the actual lesson for instruction. So please feel free to use this lesson plan. If you've got feedback on that, something that is not clear, please let me know. I will tweak it. I want you to be able to use it. Right here is the actual digital gallery walk, and if you pop into that, you will see that I have created different stations, so to speak, for the students to actually visit. And I made them color-coded just so that you can put your kids into groups based on color, or you can put them in groups based off of numbers. Of course, you can change these if you copy this template and make it your own. In order to copy this template and write on it, because I did make it view only so that people won't change it today, all you have to do is come over to File and down to Make a Copy. My suggestion when you name this would be get rid of the words copy of digital gallery walk template, and instead of template, I would consider changing this to like block 1 or whatever block you're going to be using, because you're more than likely going to be using a different template grouping for each of your classes so that they don't all overlap. You certainly can have all of your kids go into and do the gallery walk together, but then you're going to have like 90 or 100 students all sharing their input on the same templates, which can get a little bit crazy. So I'd recommend doing one for each block. When you're done, you simply hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel today though. You do need to make sure that when you're in this gallery walk and you're doing your shared settings, you come up here to the blue. You'll notice that today I've got it that anyone with the link can view, so that literally anyone who's watching this can click on it and make a copy. But when you're sharing this with your kids, you need to do anyone at CCPS with the link can view. And the reason why you only want your kids to view this is because you don't want them going in and changing your gallery walk template, because they're not actually writing on this section, okay? You will notice that if you click on one of the numbers, and I see a couple of you in here in the doc with me, so feel free to click on one of the numbers. All of the templates look exactly the same. Here is an example of what one of them would look like. So you have copies of all of these, by the way, in this folder right here. That's the Essential Questions folder. So if you double click and open that, you will see all of the templates for the 6 stations. And I made it so that they color code along with each of these stations here. So if you pop into one of the essential questions, I made these today view only so that you all can just do the file, make a copy, change the name to match your, your block 1 or whatever class you're doing for the day, get rid of the copy of, and hit OK. That way your kids can go in and write on it. But today, obviously, I didn't want teachers accidentally messing this up, or any random person who's on the web watching. You'll need to go into the shared settings when you share this with your students. And in the advanced settings, you can do a couple of things. You can type in your teacher ID number right here, which you can find in your profile section. Oh, I'm not logged in. In your profile section of your Rapid Identity, and share it with your class that way. Of course, you can share this on your Google Classroom, but if you do that, make sure that you share the file that everyone can edit, because you want all your kids to be able to edit this so they can share their ideas. Or of course, you can change it here so that anyone at Chesterfield County with the link, and then you need to change it to can edit. Okay, so the thought behind this is that you've got your essential or your driving question up here. Your kids simply have to, and because it's in view only, you won't have access to this right now, but your kids simply have to click on the image. They can either hit Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste it and move their sticky note and write their information on it. Or of course, they can click on it to highlight it, right-click, and do the old-fashioned copy and paste. Then each kid has their own sticky note where they can share their information. I'm going to delete these so that your templates aren't messed up, by the way. The nice thing about having this template, because this could be done on, using pretty much any kind of technology, even like a Padlet could be done. But the great thing about using Google Draw and Google Drive, the Google Apps for Education, G Suite, whatever you want to call it, is the revision history. And right here, you can see anytime a student edits this document, you can see if they're participating, which I think is a very valuable resource tool for you to have access to, because that way you can see like who's participating, who's not participating. You can see if students are on task and sharing important, relevant information. So again, that is just revision history, which I think is wonderful. I'm going to bounce out of this and pop back into my digital gallery. Oops, not that one, my Google Drive. So the premise of this is the students each go into their selected group that you've differentiated them in, by content, by skill set, by learning style, however you want to differentiate. When you time the kids, you tell them their time is up, they all X out of the document, and then they follow the arrows. You tell them follow the arrows and rotate to the next group. They pop into that group and they can can clearly see what the other students have done. They have their next essential question, which they can then reflect upon. Now, I'm going to show you quickly this example right here of what that could potentially look like. So you have some kind of thought-provoking question regarding the civil rights movement. You've had a couple of kids in group 1 put on their sticky notes, and then you have another group of kids who feel really passionately about what this student said. So here's a kid who uses their drawing tool to make a comment on what somebody else said. And here's another kid who agrees with this kid who is commenting on this kid. So you can start to see how conversations can happen with your students, which becomes very empowering, because then it's putting the learning and the questioning and the just the inquiry back in their hands instead of having you drive the whole lesson. So I feel like that is a really valuable tool, again, for your students when it comes to learning. I'm going to go ahead and pop out of this example here, and I want to talk about a couple of other uses, which is in this Y digital gallery right here. So other uses, oh no, wait, I'm sorry, I apologize. Other uses is this one right here that says other uses. So don't reinvent the wheel. 5 other uses for the gallery template walk. These are accessible to you if you want to take a look at them. So you don't have to use it as a traditional gallery walk where you ask the kids questions and they give you answers, but you can potentially use it as a review station, which I know a lot of teachers will do review stations with their kids. Just because you're having your kids do the review stations in digitally does not mean that they're not necessarily up and moving, or that they have to do everything for every station on a computer. My librarians at Swift Creek, woo-woo, like to do a blended learning lesson with their kids, doing something similar to this. So they will they'll start off with this gallery walk where the kids will pop into one station and just do their recording on it, but they actually are like doing some kind of hands-on or research or activity. The kids can then just take a quick picture and attach it to the Google Doc. The Google Drawing. You could potentially introduce new content. So if you're trying to introduce your students to content that will activate prior knowledge as you're doing your lesson, you could use the review stations or the digital wheel for that. You could reinvent it and make it a project menu wheel if you're trying to give your kids voice and choice for PBL or for other projects that you're doing. Instead of doing the old-fashioned just menu, you could give them the wheel. You could have the wheel turn into tasks for a project. So step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. So the kids follow in order the steps in order to complete their project. So it helps keep them a little bit more organized for those students who need some organization. And of course, you can always do it as an activity menu. You know, you've always got those kids who finish work early and need something to work on. If they have access to this, they always have something that they can go into that you've preset for them that are approved activities that they could potentially do. So just a couple of ideas to throw out there for you. One last thing I want to show you is on the Y Gallery Walk slideshow is the how to move up the SAMR scale, because you are basically just substituting this for that, right? Like we're substituting paper for something online, but we're bumping it up on the SAMR scale to augmentation because you can use the view history feature to see who's contributing. Students can communicate and collaborate. They can change font styles, color type. They can highlight things in multiple colors. So you are moving up the SAMR scale pretty quickly just by doing this lesson. You can modify this lesson by having students or teachers comment back and forth with each other. They can also make connections to the content by adding photos or drawings or hyperlinks or videos or something like that they voice recorded. And then, of course, the redefinition is where the students take what they've used and learned from your gallery walk and make something with it. And then they can obviously link that final creation to their sticky notes. With that being said, I hope that you found some of this information helpful. I know I went really, really fast, but this session will be on our YouTube channel. Shameless plug. You should go subscribe to it. And you all have a very lovely day. Thank you for joining me. Bye.
Thanks so much, Althea.
You're
That was
welcome.
good
Thank
stuff.
you.
We'll see you in just a minute. We got another
Yeah.
session starting. So
Okay, great. Thank you.